Hey everybody, Crypto Mentor 99. I can't believe I've got John Gillum, the head honcho over at Adbank. And John, thanks so much for being with me tonight.
Hey, thanks for having us, and thanks for having the chat before. Excited to get into this, and your story of what you're trying to do and your communication, and it's all great, and yeah, looking forward to the chat.
So, full disclosure for everybody, I actually saw Adbank either during the ICO or shortly before, signed up for the newsletter, and through my own fault let it slip through the cracks. I came across it about a week ago and I'm like, I got to get John for an interview. So I joined Telegram. And before we get into it, John, tell us a little bit about not so much your childhood per se, but growing up in Canada and one day waking up and going, hey, this cryptocurrency space is something that I'm interested in. Like, how did all that get started?
Yeah, so my background, skip forward a bunch of years from getting born with a hockey stick in my hand in Canada here, but skip forward past that, and I ran a bunch of online businesses that had a lot of interaction with digital advertising.
Oh,
And then when I was working with some partners on that business that sort of were like, John, you really got to get into this crypto space, understand the tech, and there's going to be a significant change in this space in the next 5 years, 10 years. And once I kind of I think we've all had that light bulb moment when we got into this space where it's this is going to change things. Middlemen are going to get disrupted. Which middlemen are massive pains in my ass? And digital advertising with my online businesses have always been sort of, I've been, acutely aware of the pain points within that industry. And that's kind of what pulled me into Adbank, and then kind of the team came around that vision, and we've been running with this ever since.
well, I looked at your website thoroughly the last 2 days, and I was pleasantly surprised with the talent pool that you guys have. And then when I actually saw your face, I'm like, wow, he's kind of young compared, again, not everybody that's on the team and advisors. So again, I say this with a lot of love, but kind of jokingly, how did a little guy like you roll out of bed one day and say, I'm going to start AdBank? But I guess you kind of answered a little bit with some of those online businesses.
Yeah, so I think we had the haircut, but I think I look a little younger than I am. I got a decade or so on metallic at least. But so yeah, the journey was being pulled in from some other business partners to dig into the space, and then saying when I dug into the tech in more detail and said from my sort of operational mindset, what needs to exist here to introduce to solve some of the problems that I live with daily. And so some of the ad fraud problems, the transparency problems that exist in digital advertising. There's some scary stats out there in terms of digital advertising being the second highest source of organized crime funding through digital ad fraud. And so it's massive industry ripe with problems and ready for some disruption. I think blockchain will play a piece of, and we're just kind of digging down that road as we go here.
Whoa. So I'm going to make an assumption that some people have heard about AdBank. If not, I'm going to do a video tomorrow on kind of AdBank 101. But what John and I want to dive into this evening is a new announcement, for lack of a better word. So, John, what do you want to tell us about Blade?
Yeah, so when we finished the ICO, we continued to execute on what we were building. Built the ad network that exists, ad serving technology that allows transactions to happen. Not very exciting from a consumer standpoint, but Blade is the next layer, which is the consumer play, which is if you have the Blade is a Chrome browser extension that blocks ads and replaces ads and ultimately rewards you in ADB for viewing those ads. And so this is sort of, people are familiar with Brave and that. It's a similar solution, or it's addressing a similar problem in a different way in terms of being on the Chrome browser and being a native experience where sites that you're visiting normally, you're just seeing ads that are powered by the Adbank network through your Blade browser extension.
Okay, so let's kind of back up and look at this in like what I call like a big picture approach. So, what's kind of wrong with digital advertising these days? So, educate me, okay?
Sure. So there's a great drawing that's out there where there's advertisers, there's publishers, and to get that ad shown up, you have thousands of companies that exist that all take a slice. The end result is it creates a really murky ecosystem, opaque, no transparency. For every ad dollar that flows in, how much each middleman takes is unknown. How much the publisher gets is an unknown amount, and it creates that environment that's ripe for fraud. And if you're a significant, you as an end user browsing the web are a significant part of that transaction of the advertiser, the publisher, and the end user. So if you are, $220 billion industry, you are the reason this industry exists in terms of viewing ads. You have very little control over how your data gets used, how your and how you don't get your incentives aligned with the other actors in that transaction. And so what blockchain allows us to do with micropayments and the transparency is start to fully incentivize the entire ecosystem of advertisers are a piece of this, publishers are a piece of this, and end users are a piece of this transaction. And so shouldn't we all have our incentives aligned around that transaction of, an advertiser wants an ad seeing, a publisher's laid useful content for you to visit, and you are giving your attention to that ad. So that's sort of what's the problem and how Blade starts to address those problems.
Wow. So are you saying, and again, I really, sometimes people say like, how come you ask those questions when you interview people? I'm like, because I want to know the answer. I'm selfish and I'm super interested. So has digital advertising, John, always been a little, not suspicious, but with that middleman, it kind of like the money flow?
It's since I think it goes through phases of cleaned up, and it's just a whack-a-mole game of
Okay.
the your cat and mouse game of the fraudulent actors learn to do different tactics. The middlemen aren't complicit in those happen, like in the fraud happening, but their incentives are not aligned to crush the fraud, because they're making money on each transaction, and they're so the answer to the question is yes. It has always been riddled with fraudulent actors, and the murkier and the more complex that system has gotten, the more opportunities for very clever fraudsters to show up and abuse the system and abuse an overall ecosystem exists.
Wow. Okay. So somebody, John, that maybe watching this YouTube channel for the first time, or hearing you for the first time, or seeing you for the first time, not that they're skeptical per se, but they're sitting back, listening to us, and what would you say to them, or how would you answer the question if someone said, John, why is there a need for Blade? Like, what's so special about Blade? Why do I need it? And what would you say to that to those people out there?
Yeah, so I'd say that you're not Blade. So you can install it at Blade.software, and it's a free Chrome extension that rewards you for seeing ads under the existing user experience that you're already familiar with. And so it's a essentially a free opportunity to finally participate in the digital advertising ecosystem that you've always been a passive participant in. And so this is where you finally get to control, do I want to see ads, yes or no? And if you're going to see ads, getting rewarded for seeing those ads. And so, if the sort of value prop to end user becomes exceptionally clear of, it's essentially free cryptocurrency for viewing ads.
So it's not as if, just so everybody understands, I'll just kind of paraphrase it. and tell me if I'm not on the track, John. So you're not really, or AdBank or Blade, more specifically, you're not trying to change anyone's, you know, behaviors on the internet. I'm already on the computer, whatever, 3, 4 hours a day. So it's not like we're like a bunch of mice where you're trying to change our behaviors. You just want to incentivize people um, to already not to change their everyday behaviors and to get rewarded because of it, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And we think kind of one of the big, like we we're there's so many problems that we're eager to see all the different players in the space tackle the problems. And so like Bat and Brave, great project, but the sort of big adoption challenges that I mean they're doing incredibly well. But one of the big adoption challenges we'll have for mass adoption is that's significant behavior change in terms of changing browsers, changing the way that you view ads.
Okay.
With Blade, there's no behavior change needed. Install the extension, and it's just a change in the ads that you're seeing in the placements that you would normally be seeing them.
Wow. Okay. So let's kind of get into a few specific questions about Blade. Again, I'm sure in Canada it's the same way. In the United States here, everybody kind of raises their eyebrows when you start talking about collecting data, yada, yada, yada. So
Yep.
what type of data does Blade collect from its users? Maybe we'll start there.
Yeah. So it does not use browser data or browsing data for targeting purposes, and does not. And so what it does collect is KYC information because we are crypto, and then aggregating that information. So for geographic and demographic targeting. So age, gender, location is what gets how people get how the data that people submit gets used based on the ads that they see. Future updates coming where people can opt in to specific if they want to experience an increased level of targeting. But I completely agree with kind of your point that data privacy and your ability to control how your data gets used in the digital advertising experience is something that is continuing to be a bigger and bigger sort of, I call it problem and opportunity. GDPR in Europe, the privacy laws in California. It's dominoes are starting to fall around the world around. Hey, these companies are tracking a lot of data, a lot of my data, and I have limited control over it.
So really, and again, I want to dive into AdBank the next couple of days in a serious way, and I'm serious about that. So the data that you guys are collecting, I mean, that's the information that I give out when I'm joining some of these cryptocurrency exchanges. I mean, it's no
Yep.
more, I mean, I'm giving them my phone number, my this, my that. So it's not, I guess the point I'm just trying to make for the listeners, it's not as if you're, asking any more or less than just the average KYC terrain within the crypto space, right? Or no?
Exactly. No, it's the same information that people would have for anyone that has gone through any KYC process within the crypto space. Identical.
Okay. So another question that we get here, and again, probably Canada, probably all over the world, is that once you guys collect the data and have the data, like where is it stored and who has access to it?
Yeah. So stored separately from any other instance that we have, and then who has access is tightly controls the people that just need to execute the KYC information, and then that data all gets stored into cold storage. Similar to how we apply the sort of like best practices around crypto.
Sure.
No reason not to apply that to the data that is the most sensitive. Since we have sort of used the Blade user ID to target the not the name, but the aggregate demographic and geographic information. Once that's included, the KYC information is just needed from a compliance standpoint for cryptocurrency.
Sure.
And once that's needed, then we also eventually, so after a certain period of time, move it into cold storage.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks, John. That really helps. Let's switch gears a little bit. So during the pre-interview, I was talking about how when I was younger and I lived in Illinois, I played a lot of competitive hockey, and one year I played on three different teams when I was like a sophomore and junior in high school. So not if, so when I get hooked up with Blade, right? Is there any way that as a consumer that I have any say so in what like ads that I get to see?
So
Or how does that work?
Not in the current. It would work absolutely, and will work, and is in the roadmap. Current solution doesn't have that. But it is planned for development. So right now, the reason why we haven't prioritized that is that we do know the interest that people that are signing up. So we've been live for a month. We know the interest that people that are signing up have, being early adopters from the crypto space. And so the ads that you will see will have a heavy focus on cryptocurrency and related ads. So very similar
awesome.
ads to what
That's
you
great.
see.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, no complaints here. So
Yeah.
once I guess, what's the word? I'm an old guy. Once I download Blade, is that the way to say it, or?
Install
Sorry.
it, download it, install it, yeah.
Okay, so once I install Blade on my MacBook Pro here, is there any way, and I can't think of a reason why, but I'm just going to ask, is there any way that I could kind of turn it on and off, or?
Yep. Yeah, you can turn it on and off. What we've found is, there's sort of we like to kind of joke about it inside, but how many publishers have adopted Blade? And we say, well, the entire damn internet has adopted Blade, because we automatically reward publishers, and they can come and claim those rewards because they are a key part of this ecosystem. But there are some publishers where if the interaction on with that publisher doesn't work for whatever reason with Blade installed, you can just turn it on and off if the user experience is better with it off. Simple. And then one of the features that we're coming out with is a personal whitelist. So if you visit, a specific site, and the sort of ad functionality that is needed for the user experience on that site, then you can just personally whitelist that site. And so it's really about kind of getting you back in control of what sites you experience ads on, don't experience ads on, get rewarded for seeing ads, and just that, being in control of being an active member as part of that ecosystem that you've always been passive participants in up to this point.
Sure, cool. Okay, wow, I'm learning a lot. So I install Blade. I always have it on. I don't turn it off. And then talk a little bit, if you would, John, just about the ADB rewards. Kind of what are they? How do they work? And why would I want any?
Sure. So ADB is the Adbank cryptocurrency. So it's a ERC20 token built on the Ethereum blockchain. The way it works, and the way sort of the entire kind of token model works, is advertisers come on board, they purchase ADB on the secondary exchange, come into the platform, or work with us to get onboarded. They run their campaign based on where you were targeted, demographic, geographic information. You then get a third. So basically, it becomes there's some other cases when there's referrals involved, but basically it's a third split between between publisher, end user, and Blade.
Okay.
And then that after your 3 to 30 days, depending on the length of the campaigns, will receive ADB into your extension, and then you can choose whether to hold it in there or send it to your preferred wallet.
Okay, so will the extension, I guess you kind of answered it, will it hold my ADB tokens until I want to do something with them?
Yeah, so you can set up auto withdrawals. So as soon as a certain threshold is met,
Oh, cool.
so to manage gas costs, we don't want transactions to happen off of a fraction of
Right.
a penny
Sure.
per each impression. So we have so that ratio set up around gas costs and to make it efficient. And so you can then set a auto withdrawal to whatever your external wallet is, and you can change that at any point, or you can set it up to manual withdrawals. So whichever. So ultimately, like the crypto space, and it's ultimately about kind of getting you involved in the process and you be in control of,
Sure.
of your assets and your experience.
Okay, so I think I know the answer to this, but I better ask you because you know more about this than I do. So as far as getting rewarded, right? I'm assuming maybe I'm wrong, but I'm assuming the longer someone is on their computer viewing ads, for lack of a better word, they're going to get more rewarded or more ADB tokens than someone obviously that's on there like a half hour a day, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the more people are, the more ads you get rewarded based on the ads you see, and based on the amount that advertiser has paid to have that ad shown to people like you. And so based on those kind of criteria, the tech does its calculation after the campaign is over and distributes tokens. So the more impressions, the more ads that you see, and then we have anti-fraud in place to ensure that that's all within reason. And then we have and then based on the desirability of your demographic and geographic area to be targeted, becomes how much you ultimately will receive.
Okay. And then again, just, people like to know the numbers. They like to know the numbers. And again,
100%.
it's so unfair to even ask you. It's like asking for getting a plumbing estimate with a plumber over the phone before he's looked in your bathroom or your bathtub or
Yep.
something to do a repair. But can you, like, with the information that you know now, John, could you maybe give the viewers just a taste of what they could
Yep.
maybe expect, maybe?
For sure, and I'll qualify that based on sort of like usage. So
Sure.
like somebody that visits 10 websites a day, when we're selling at $10 CPM, they should be receiving approximately $15 a month.
Okay.
So that's sort of the qualification. Once now, there's sort of like initially when people sign up. Right now, we're in that sort of ramp up phase of proving the value of this traffic to advertisers in order to receive that sort of be able to charge that premium CPM, or not even premium CPM, but sort of a reasonable CPM. And so as we're in this sort of ramp up phase, with lots of pilots happening, lots of advertisers on board testing this out, that the current CPM is lower. So what people are receiving currently is lower, but we don't see any reason why we won't be able to ramp up to that sort of $15 range based on depending on where they're located.
Okay. I just thought of this, just kind of random question. So when I see an ad, and again, excuse me for asking, but I really don't know the answer, and maybe there's someone out there that has the same question. Once I see an ad, obviously I've got to click on it, or no, to be rewarded.
No.
Oh,
Where it's just there's different sort of forms of advertising. There's cost per click, cost per impression, and so the cost per impression is a CPM model, it's called.
okay.
And that's how we are selling the inventory, because we don't want to artificially incentivize clicks that
Sure.
aren't. We don't want people to sort of be running around clicking. We want them to sort of experience really no difference from their. We want them to forget about it until they
Sure.
see the icon that they've got some ADB in their wallet.
Okay, interesting. So, kind of winding down here, what type of like brands or organizations, and I think you answered it a little bit because you said cryptocurrency ads, are going to be advertising on Blade? Is it strictly crypto ads, or what do we got going at the beginning?
Yeah, so heavily, so we have about 20 campaigns running, heavily focused around crypto exchanges, online gambling, sports betting is so sort of a a large percentage of our audience is millennial males. That's,
Sure.
That's a sort of a reflection of the crypto space.
Yeah.
So that's what advertisers that are interested in them. So we're having some interesting conversations with some fashion brands, some video games, and some online dating. Those are kind of like the next round of discussions. And who's advertising now and having success is the sort of exchanges, other crypto projects, wallets, and online gambling, especially kind of sports betting in crypto, is kind of what the ads are currently.
Cool. Okay. So I've got to ask you this. I remember when I was younger and I worked for a company that only had one competitor, and our competitor, frankly, wasn't even that good. So in the field that I was in, it wasn't easy, but as a salesman, I didn't have to work 50 or 60 hours a week to make a decent living. I mean, you had to work more than a couple hours a day. But talk a little bit, because I love the way that you guys, and I really, really mean this, because I said at the beginning, I saw Adbank during, the ICO stage, and then goofy me, I lost it and kind of forgot about it. So now I'm kind of back on board. But talk a little bit about how you're situated in reference to Brave and Bat.
Sure. So a great kind of analogy. I mean, we're we like to think of ourselves to some extent as sort of the pesky underdog to, where, like, in terms of, like, if you look at, like, market cap, are we, we believe it's, very excited for their success, very excited for their continued success. We think they will continue to be successful. We think there are some limitations to their adoption based on, I think almost by definition, they're not going to be able to achieve 100% browser adoption. Chrome, has such a dominant share and like to continue to, and changing that user behavior. So, we are, fans of Brave and Bat, and also kind of happy to be the sort of underdog, pesky little brother that that sort of certainly has a lot of respect for Big Brother, and likes to follow what they do. But I think we're recognize the same set of problems and think we come at it with a alternative solution that prioritizes people who want to use Chrome and not change their online experience.
Cool. Okay. Well, I always end every interview with the same question, and that is, it's just simple. John, is there anything that maybe either we didn't go over or I didn't ask where you'd like to leave the listeners or the viewers with one last thing about you, the token, the project, the team, or whatever? So I always give the interviewer the last word. So what would you like to leave us with?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time within Adbank and within the community in terms of launching of Blade. What we're seeing initially here after the first month, within the first after the first week, 60% compounding week over week growth rates of adoption. It's an exciting time to be kind of in this project, and sort of like want to thank the community that has been a part of this project from the start, and we've tried to really go be over the top in terms of our expressing the kind of Canadian values of transparency and sharing. So I certainly want to kind of thank the community and that's been with Adbank from for whatever length of time, and I think excited for what's to come here for the team and the project.
Okay, well, I'll just end with this. I've seen on YouTube the last two Ask Me Anything, and I'll tell you what, and I'm not just saying this, people love to see the leaders of a crypto project up close, maybe not personal, but they want to see them, they want to hear them, and I really enjoyed, I'm dead serious, the last two Ask Me Anythings that I listened to 2 days ago. And I'm involved in other projects, and I'm not going to name them, but I can't say that they have some of the leaders have a lot of exposure. They're kind of hidden in the back rooms, and they're not on Telegram, and they're not on Twitter. So, I salute you for doing that, because I think in the long run, it's going to make you guys more successful by you and Catherine not being the name and face of Adbank, but I've enjoyed listening to your YouTube videos for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, we get the whole team whole team effort in terms of getting involved in both kind of Telegram and
Yeah.
AMAs. We'll have sort of featured AMAs based on the different divisions within the company, and so yeah, we value it in terms of being able to provide that transparency. So certainly anytime someone sort of recognizes that, we certainly appreciate it, because it is a big time investment that we definitely feel is worth it and owed to everyone that's kind of along for this ride with us.
Okay. Well, there you have it, everybody. John Gillum, Adbank, extraordinaire, expert. And again, like I said, silly me for letting you guys slip through the cracks during the ICO. I'm back on board. John, I'm going to have you back, and thanks so much for your time.
Right on. Thanks a lot.
All right. See you later.
Take care.